In that, I would like to bid a very good morning to our judge, our timekeeper, the member of opposition team, and the member of the floor. The, today, the motion is this House support online schooling in Malaysia even after COVID-19 is over. Before I put forward my case, I would like to define today's motion. So support means that we are ready to accept online schooling, and online schooling, by definition, it means that uh, it, uh, it applies to legal institutions like university and school, and not to students who want to learn by themselves through platforms such as Skillshare. And in today's motion, we would like to focus on primary and secondary school, and primary school because it affects the early development of students. And COVID-19 is over in Malaysia, mean that when COVID-19 is completely gone and there is no chance to contact or spread COVID-19 among our society anymore. So, in short, today's motion means that even after COVID-19 is completely over, we believe that online school it brings a plethora of benefits to not only students but also their parents, teachers, and the institution themselves. So, the stakeholders in today's debate is that there is five stakeholders: students. There is student that can go to the online school, the responsible student and student who have a high level of discipline. There is also student who cannot attend online school for the reason being they lack access to the internet, and they cannot afford appliances to attend online schooling. And there is also student that cannot focus on online schooling, so they prefer to go to physical classes. Next, we have parents. There is parents who are working and busy, so they have no time to monitor their child when they are attending online classes. There is also parent that is not working. They also cannot monitor their child because they may have multiple child and cannot dedicate the time to focus on only one child. Next, there is also the teachers. There is teachers that are good and knowledgeable about platform and appliances, and there is also teachers that they are not good on using appliances and media to organize to organize online school. Um, and lastly, uh, there is the institution themselves. So the institution is primary, secondary school, and colleges. And in our world, there might be schools and uni who want to still make physical class, but so we will give freedom to the institution if they want to conduct face-to-face class or if they want to conduct the classes online. But in the debate, we only support the idea of online school. We do not object to the face-to-face class. So burden of proof for the government side is that we to prove that online school can be par with physical school academically, and the opposition side need to prove that online school is not applicable to Malaysia and it brings harms to students. So the worst case scenario on the government side is that overall students cannot comprehend with online schooling, and the best case scenario is that we can widen the option for students. The government is willing to raise student capability to comprehend with online school for a new school system that can bring benefit to other students. The government stance today is that online school is practical and in this current world, and the end goal is we want to prove how online schooling can work in Malaysia. So before I move on to my argument, is there a POI? No? Okay. As you can see, they are already agreeing with me. So moving on to my argument, I'm going to talk about the practicality of online schooling. So I'm going to prove why online schooling is beneficial and helpful to students. First of all, online schooling is much more affordable than offline schooling. the reason being the student only need to buy appliances, and then that is the only time they to buy it, and so it means that it's a one-time thing, and they don't need to buy it repeatedly. So the cost is, in the long term, the cost is actually less than compared to you going to offline school. And also, the school doesn't need to prepare many classes, many like classrooms, so the cost can be cut there. And also, they don't need to print any physical handout, which will help the teacher to cut their cost, and also the student can just can just download the handout that the teacher send digitally, and this can also save paper. And comparing to offline school, you need to pay for the commute if you're using public transport, and you also need to pay for the food that you eat. If you are attending online school, you don't do commute. You just at home studying, and the food is your parents can make the food for you, so the cost is also less there. Also, online classes is flexible. You can do it anytime and anywhere. So the student doesn't need to rush. And for example, if I wake up late, I can still join online classes without having to rush, because you can just open your laptop and then you can just enter the class. There's no need to rush or like take a bath quickly, something like that. And the teacher can also like reschedule the classes if there are too many students that cannot attend the class, and find time that suit all the students. Online classes also provide pre-recorded lessons that they can learn. They can rewatch that in case they can rewatch the lesson if they do not understand it in the first place. So with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Okay, this house would like to thank the Prime Minister for his speech. Just a few reminders. First is that there is a reply speech. So you all remember in your briefing, you're told that there's a reply speech, right? So either the first or second speaker can do the reply. Replies are 4 minutes long. So yeah, just take note of that. Yeah. So yeah, without further ado, to open the op case, let's invite the leader of opposition. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, sorry, timekeeper. The reply speech is like the last two speeches after all speakers go once. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Leader of opposition.
I'll mute my mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today, we are debating on the motion that this House supports the online schooling in Malaysia even after COVID-19 is over. So here, I am the leader of opposition, and I will be doing four things in my speech today. Firstly, I will be rebutting whatever that has been said by the Prime Minister. Secondly, I will be characterizing something that the government has forgot to characterize. Thirdly, I will be giving an argument. I will be giving my arguments, and I will also be pushing burdens on government side and opposition side. Okay, so I would like to characterize something that the government has forgot to say, which is firstly, they forgot to say that in the motion it says even after COVID-19 is over, which means that after COVID-19, which means that we assume that COVID-19 is over and does not happen anymore, and everything is back to normal. No more SOPs, no more masks. They forgot to mention that. Okay. Besides that, we agree with what the other characterizations they have given. Okay, so next I would like to rebut a few things. Okay, so the government has said that this motion we will be focusing on primary and secondary schools, and with primary and secondary schools we are dealing with children who are developing, and with developing children here, with dealing with developing children, we think that with the online classes, they will have less social interactions, and this will make their social capability very low, and might turn them all into introvert or something. So they will not know how to socialize with people, which is why this is bad. Okay, next, the main argument that has been said by the Prime Minister is it is much more affordable than physical classes, because they say that first they have to pay physical classes, we have to pay for the commute, and secondly we have to pay for food to eat. Okay, so firstly let's talk about the food. In the case of food, it is not mutually exclusive to our side. It's because even if you're at home, you have to pay for your own food. Cooking there is also, it costs money as well. And if you say that when we go physical, we use the food of we use our own food, we use our own money to buy the food and not our parents. It's the same thing, because when they go to school, they use the parents' money. So what difference is there? Secondly is pay for the commute. For paying for the commute, it is not as much as buying a device to do all this online learning, because to buy a device, it is very expensive, and it's not very cheap. Whereas in commute, we think that it is much more cheaper, because it's not that much. And they also forgot to mention that it is not only just buy a device, but they also have to pay the fees or whatever for the teachers' salary and whatnot. Okay. Secondly, they also said about how students do not need to wake up early. I will be rebutting this in my argument later. Okay. So moving on to arguments. Firstly, under the our burden is why online schooling is less effective than normal schooling, and why online schooling makes students less productive. So first argument is under the keyword of effective education. So in physical classes, there is interactive learning, whereas in online classes, the interaction there is very less. As we can see, as proof, as when teachers teach students face to face, teachers can talk to the students better, and teachers can see the reactions of the students. But whereas in online learning, what will happen is that as we normally see when we join a meet or a lecture, the teacher asks, "Do we have any problems?" No one gives an answer. That is very concrete proof that there is not much interaction in online learning. Okay, so under this also, when there is lots of interaction between students and the teacher, what will happen is that students will become closer to the teacher. And when students are closer to the teacher, what will happen is that they can understand the lecture or whatever is being taught better. And if they have any problems, they will feel more comfortable to ask for help from the teachers as well. So next, under effective education also is the issue of discipline, where as the Prime Minister has said, students do not need to wake up early and you can do whatever during the class. That in secondary and primary education here, we need to realize that education is not simply just learning maths, chemistry. No, it's also about learning discipline. It's also learning about how to be productive. It's about building the students up from the ground up. Okay, so when there's less discipline here, what will happen is that they can wake up anytime they want. They can eat during the class. Then, whereas in physical classes, we have this discipline where we have to wake up early, we have to go to the classes on time, we cannot eat during classes, and we think that this discipline is very important, not only for during the school, but even outside of school later. It will make them become better adults. Okay, moving on to the second argument, which is under the topic of productivity. So productivity here, with technology right now, during online classes, students are easily distracted with whatever that is happening online. Okay, so let's say whenever you listening to a lecture or in a meet or something, they can always have their phone next to them. Okay, so with the phone next to them, it's very easy for them to get distracted and maybe go look to TikTok or go look to Twitter and whatnot. And when they are distracted, what will happen is that these students will pay less attention to their classes. And what happens when they pay less attention to their classes? They will struggle even more in the studies, and they will struggle, and it will be hard for them to understand topics because they don't really listen to the lectures or to the lessons being given by the teachers. Okay. Secondly, is about the pre-recorded lectures. Okay, it might sound like a good thing, these pre-recorded lectures, but we on the opposition side think that these pre-recorded lectures, as said by the Prime Minister, they can review this later. We think that is not a good thing. Why? It's because with pre-recorded lectures, what will happen? Students will tend to rely on these pre-recorded lectures. So when they rely on it, what will happen? It will make them become less productive. It will make them procrastinate. Make them think like, oh, we can do this later. We don't have to do it right now. So, what will happen is that they will push everything back, and then maybe they will study last minute, and this will reduce their productivity. Okay, so as the burdens for the the government has to prove is why online learning has improved education in this day and age. Okay, and with that, thank you.
Okay, this house would like to thank the Leader of Opposition for the speech. I'd like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the government chair here. Deputy Prime Minister, Hidayati.
Yes.
Yeah, you're next. Whenever you're ready. Hello, DPM. Are you having any issues or anything with your internet or something?
A very good morning. I bid to the honorable. A very good morning. I bid to the honorable adjudicators, cautious timekeepers, my worthy opponents from the opposition side, and my loyal comrades from the government side. As the Deputy Prime Minister, I firstly will be rebutting all of the misconcluded points coming from the opposition side and presenting one argument to strengthening our case. Before that, let me clarify our burden of proof as the government side. Under our side, we prove that even in online schooling can be on par with the normal schooling. And as my first speaker already proved, and I will already prove it in terms of academic, and I'll emphasize it later, and I will prove it about it in social terms, my argument later on. Before that, let's move on the rebuttals. We believe that the opposition side is being delusional in all aspects. Not only that, they're actually a phrase of a pot called the kettle black, and that's actually referring to the opposition side itself. First and foremost, COVID-19 and is everything is back to normal, which the opposition side failed to realize on that. Second thing, I think about the child developing. It's not true. This is a 2021st century. There are other ways in how the child can actually be socialized without even interacting with each other, which is explained later in my argument. First, it's about the cost. It's about not. It's not about not having not all cost at all. It's about less cost, which again the opposite side failed to hear about that, and most important, failed to hear about that, and also the idea of the pot calling the kettle black is basically they assume that on their work that all the students are be able to be productive even if online, even if they have face-to-face classes, without even considering that even if they have these face-to-face classes or without online classes, the students can actually be procrastinate, the student can actually be unproductive, and the student can even talking to their friends without even doing their homeworks. So basically the arguments are being cancelled. So basically what they're trying to point out to us is actually pointing back at them because they never really, because of that and because of reading on that. So basically moving on to my arguments, which is why this online schooling can also cater the students in terms of their social life. We believe that nowadays there are all sorts of apps and all sorts of communication technologies that's being developing to aid the students and to help to aid the students or the teacher itself to socialize with each other. And this is, and for example, we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram, even we can make group classes, group chats, in order for them to interact and to ask questions with each other. Even nowadays, people interact with each other virtually more than what they interact in face to face. So we believe that it's not a problem for students actually to socialize with each other. And regarding about the child development, we believe that in this current situation, that child is actually being exposed to this being exposed to this technology and being exposed to this being exposed with this technology, basically living in the modern world where within the modern world, so it's actually possible for the child itself to socialize with each other via all of these platforms. Secondly, the school actually can promote a group work or anything, which only the different medium, which is using this technology itself, such as the school can ask the students to do group work and be presented online, making slides and such. Well, the students can actually interact with each other, but it's just the difference in the medium itself. Within itself, and we have to understand nowadays, even in the future, if the children eventually going to work or eventually going to meet with all of other persons or negotiate with the people across the country, they will always need an online meeting itself. So this is actually a good training for the students itself to start at a young age to eventually negotiate with each other, to develop a really confidence or develop a communication skills in order in to other people via online. So basically, by having this online schooling is actually a really, by having this online schooling, we can actually train the students for their future careers itself. Number three, we stated that our government supports this online schooling, but we never really ban real face-to-face online. We never really ban the face-to-face face schools. Basically, even if the schools want to make face-to-face interaction, they can still go on with that. And the students, even better, they can actually interact that with an online and even interact that in real life itself. For example, if they have lab sessions or practical sessions, they can eventually meet up and interact with each other, or even work together to
Hi, sorry, I gotta stop you there because we really can't hear you. Um, so maybe you could just repeat the last 20, 30 seconds of things you just said. Sorry. Hello, DPM.
Weh, tak dengar. Can you hear
Sorry.
me?
Yeah, sorry, we couldn't hear you just now. Yeah, maybe you could just repeat the last 30 to 40 seconds of what you just said. Sorry, because you like disconnected for a bit. Like it was quite
Oh,
difficult here. Yeah, no worries.
right. Alright, so I guess I will repeat my points. So as you all know that the school itself can actually promote group works among each other students, but for example, the school can have the students to make a group work or for each other, so the students can actually interact with each other via online and maybe present it to present it to other people, to other students via online itself. And we have to know that in the future itself, or even nowadays, even all those big companies or all of these diplomats who actually wanted to arrange meeting with other people in other country will need to undergo this online meeting and such. So by having this online platform or online communication, we actually train the students to eventually train the students to develop their communication skills via online meeting. It's a preparation for them for the future itself, because nowadays most of people in the world, for example, they have meetings across the countries. Most people would opt for online meeting rather than face-to-face meeting, as what my speaker had stated, which is will be costly product, which will be cost efficiency. Next, we also we have stated that we are not actually banning this actually ban online face-to-face classes. Tak boleh dengar. Besok gimana? Lab. Well, we already stated that we are not actually banning these face-to-face classes. So basically, the students can actually interact with each other. For example, when we have lab sessions for face-to-face, which is face-to-face, for any practical sessions, the students can actually come together and work together and maybe interact with each other and to finish their upcoming project. So we can see that we prove that by having we prove that by supporting this online schooling, we actually caters this well-being of the students. We actually caters the development of the students in terms of social itself. And we have to know that by having this online schooling, we're actually making the options more variety of options, and by making more variety of options and basically varieties of options, so the students can variety of options can I do with that. Variety of questions. With that, I've concluded that it's actually by having this online schooling, we can actually cater best of both worlds. With that, I rest my case.
Okay, this house would like to thank the Deputy Prime Minister. I'd like to invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to continue the op bench. Here.
Okay, very good morning to everyone present. Okay, so today as the Deputy Leader of Opposition, here is how I'm going to structure my speech. So first, I'm going to provide rebuttals to the government, and next, I'm going to give some our points of arguments in today's motion. Okay, so the government states that brings up about procrastination, and we acknowledge that procrastination is mutually exclusive, and it happens to both sides, but actually it happens more on the government side as they lack of discipline. Because as just now the government side has also bring up about online having online classes can be flexible. We can attend classes whenever we want and watch recorded lectures. So basically the government failed to give a very clear argument. Okay, so for the other rebuttals, I will be laid inside my points of argument. Okay, so first, finance. Common sense, finance is very important, and we cannot live without it. And everyone knows that after this pandemic, everyone is affected. The rate of cash flowing out is higher than the rate of cash flowing in. And as just now, the government said that online schooling can save money, as it is a one-off thing, because we just only have to buy the gadgets once and then we can use it for a very long time. But we have to think that normally public schools are free, and also we just have to pay for some exercise books. And if we conduct the class online, electronic gadgets like laptops and smartphones are needed. And also we have to take account Wi-Fi coverage. So if for those that live in rural areas, they don't have really good Wi-Fi coverage and they have to purchase their own mobile data. Okay, if they cannot purchase their own mobile data, then they are forced to go outside and to attend their class and also take their exams. So, for example, I think everyone should know about the university student from Sabah, Beviona, that she had to climb a tree to take her exam and stay overnight there. Okay, so that is a very good example. Okay, so moving on to those that, that Beviona is a representative of those that are underprivileged. So what about those that really underprivileged? For example, parents that can barely feed their family for the day. So it will be a burden for them to buy the gadgets that their children need for online studies. And so when they cannot do so, their kids are unable to attend class and they have to study by themselves. As a result, they don't know what topics which topics are important for them to study, and they don't know which homework they have to do. Okay, so moving on to my next argument, which is motivation. So if we opt for online studies, we are actually crammed in a room for the whole day, staring at our laptops and also smartphones. As compared to if we have classes physically, we are able to see our friends every day in school and also socialize with them. Okay, so if we have online classes, we will be demotivated as we don't have our friends with us or we don't have our study buddies with us. Not mentioning that staring at the bike screen the whole day is very bad for our eyesight, and we should see more green things like the fields in our school to feel more relaxed and calm. Okay, if we just only have physical classes, then we are able to have social interactions and do things together. For example, study group. We know that study group can be conducted online and also physically, but if we conduct it via call, there is no interaction or very minimum interaction between us and our friends, and we cannot really see each other's facial expressions, so we don't know who understands and who don't. Okay, also some students need like a motivation push factor, for example, peer pressure. So when they are studying alone at home, they actually don't have this peer pressure. Thus, they will be demotivated, and they will not have motivation to study. And as a result, when their study drops, when their academic results drop, then maybe their mental health will be affected. For example, they will have anxiety, stress, and so on. Okay. Furthermore, we also have to take into account of our study environment. Not everyone has conducive study environment at home. Not everyone has a cool room to have their online classes. we have to think about those that have younger siblings and also parents that are working from home who are also having meetings at home. So basically, there will be many unwanted noise and we will feel distracted. We cannot concentrate during classes and thus we will lose our motivation in study. And basically our academic results will drop significantly. Okay, so to conclude, my points arguments are so let's just say that finance and motivation are point argument, and I hereby rest my case. Thank you very much.
Okay, this house would like to thank the Deputy Leader for position. I'd like to invite the Gov Whip to close the substantive Gov bench. Here.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hold on, give me a moment. All right. Okay, good morning a bit to all the members of the floor. I am the government whip, and I'll be doing two main things for today. Firstly, I will conclude all the points and arguments that has been given by the first and second sides, and then I will try to conclude them into issues, which I feel is the most important to talk about. And then I will do a rebuttal for all of those issues and to do a comparison between both sides to see who caters to the issues better and who actually won the issue, which is where I show that the government side caters to most issues most efficiently. So before I move on to any of my issues, to clarify a few factors that has been ignored by the opposition side. So in our case, we have stated that we have characterized students as students who does not only have problems with online schooling, but we also cater to students who actually benefit from online schooling, because we need to understand that in this world, not all students can comprehend with online schooling. It's not for everyone, but we also have to agree that some students can actually excel in online schooling. So we feel like this is the reason why we need to support online schooling in Malaysia in the first place, because there are actually students out there who can benefit from online schooling, yet we don't give them the platform or the opportunity to excel in it. So that's the reason that I think is most important. The first issue is the productivity of students, and the second issue is the affordability to classes and whatnot. Let's start to students. Which side has talked about will interact with the students well. It will be socially awkward and whatnot. With this, like, have made a lot of tips to saying that students aren't as productive, because they exaggerate a lot about how students will definitely fail if you go to online schooling. They will definitely not make any friends, and they will definitely not focus in any classes. I feel like there are only times where you don't actually focus, but there are actually a numerous times where you can actually focus if you were to be trained properly. So obviously students are more productive to be face to face, but we cannot forget that even in online schooling, even in online classes, you can actually be productive in many ways. So let me give you a certain examples. For example, if you were to make an online school, the institution can make a merit system. For example, in our Pasum right now, we have a merit system, and we have our own marks in our assignments, in our quizzes and everything, in our attendance. So obviously all students who want to succeed in their own careers and everything, they need to cater to all of these marks. So they will need to be able to make themselves feel disciplined enough so that they can be productive, also join all the classes, finish all the assignments, and also join all the other lectures that are important, for example, the tutors and everything. So some students may excel in this, some students can take care of this, but yeah, we agree that there are maybe some slight students who cannot do this properly. But here is where the government side actually solves this solution, solves this issue with a solution. So the government side has already stated that this whole online teaching is actually mutually exclusive and something that face-to-face classes cannot do. For example, we stated that it's flexible, you have pre-recorded lectures, and also a lot of ways for you to train yourself before you go to the outside world where online classes or online meetings is a thing. So in a way, we are not trying to make the students disciplined, like how face-to-face schools trying to make them disciplined, but in a way we are trying to make them more productive in the online world, in the world where we only use online as a way to communicate. Because right now we are living in a world that we are trying to become more connective with the internet. So in that sense, we need to be able to know how to interact with other people through online. We need to know how to join classes in time, how to join meetings in time. So this is where our side shows the solution for the students. We provide them a way for them to be productive, but in their own way. So let's say if you woke up late in class and you don't join the lecture in time, well, that's something that you can learn from, because in the real world, if you were to join a meeting and you were late to go to that meeting, then that's going to be very harmful to you and also your career. So does face-to-face classes teach this? Obviously not, because this is something that is mutually exclusive on online classes only. So even though you will make some mistakes, obviously there will be a lot of mistakes, but this is where we train the students to adapt to the online schooling. And another thing, let's cater to the issue that a lot of students cannot cater to this at all. Well, the students have a choice. They don't need to go to online schools. They can go to face-to-face schools if they feel like they are more comfortable with it. But we are trying to give an opportunity, a chance for students who want to be in online schools so that they can learn more from there. So before I move on to my second issue, is there anything, any POI from the opposition side? All right, no POIs from here. I feel like this issue is well explained since there's no POI. All right, now let's move on to the second issue, which is the affordability issue. So for the affordability issue, opposition has been saying that students, even though you don't have to pay for transport and everything, you still have to pay for the computers, for the laptops, for the phones that you will be using for online classes, and maybe some materials and some fees that will be needed in the school system. But here's the thing, to an online school and for since standard one. So you're going to buy a laptop, obviously, right, to join all the classes. You're going to use that laptop until you reach to your degree and also your bachelor degrees, your PhD and masters. That is something I feel is a good way to spend your money. If you were to invest all of your money for that laptop, then you can actually use all of them in the also, another part, another issue is that if you were to be living in another country, for example, so example, you cannot go to UM because you are living in Sabah and Sarawak, you can join online classes and you don't have to pay fees to go there, use airplanes and whatnot. And for example, if there's a holiday, you don't have to go back to your country and whatnot. So this is something that is very affordable for students who live far apart from their schools. It's something that a lot of everyone in the environment in Malaysia can join the school apparently. So if there's a school in KL, everyone in Malaysia can join. That's the benefit of online schooling. Also, another thing is that in terms of affordability, if you have no connection, if you have no Wi-Fi and whatnot, well, just don't online schooling in the first place if you know you have that problem. But let's say if you really want to join online schooling, even if you have bad connections, we still have alternative, we still provided solutions. You can go as the teachers for the lecture notes. You can still continue on to study with your peers, even though there's a lot of problems there. But that's only problems when you know that it's not going to happen most of the time. So with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Okay, this house would like to thank the government whip and would like to invite the operator to close the substantive speeches. Here.
Just to check, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, can hear.
In order for a debate to progress, we believe that both sides must engage with each other, no matter the motion. So under our side, I believe that opposition has provided more than enough to engage with government side. However, government is refusing to do so. So first of all, Assalamualaikum and a good morning I bid to the members of the floor. So first of all, what I'd like to point out first and foremost is that in my speech today, I'll be first of all pointing out what government has been doing wrong. Secondly, provide one rebuttal regarding social skills. And thirdly, I will continue my rebuttals and also provide my clashes and questions after that before leading to a brief conclusion about what opposition side has been going on about since our first speaker. So first of all, government has yet to prove to us that physical schooling is not the best choice compared to online schooling. What the problem that I'm saying why government is not engaging much is because they've been debating in this sense where okay, this we believe that everything is fine, that problems will be solved because we have choices. We have these two choices, online or physical. But we have told you in our leader proposition for you to prove to us why physical schooling is not a better choice than online schooling, and they have yet to prove why to us why physical schooling is so ineffective to the point where you believe that online schooling is the better choice. So next, because of this, my side has been pushing arguments in my first and second speaker, hoping for some engagement. However, government has yet to engage with most of our points. They kept on emphasizing that they can choose. However, I think that in this debate, they should have been proving to us why online schooling is way better. So first of all, regarding my rebuttal on social skills, since I won't be putting this in my clashes, the second speaker came up and gave a long speech on how that learning communicative skills is better if they learn it online because they want to adapt to the future market in the internet and such. So what we believe that when you learn your communicative skills online, sure, you can use it in your online meetings and your online discussions. However, we believe that you cannot bring online communicative skills to the physical world, but you can do it vice versa. We believe that if you learn how to physically how to communicate via physical interactions, via physical social interactions, it's more effective and it's more effective to learn it in the physical sense because you can apply it in online in your online communicative skills. However, think about this: the tips and tricks that you learn from online interviews or from online discussions, you cannot really bring these into the physical world. If you have a physical meeting, since government has been emphasizing about they have both worlds present. If what happens if these students have only been learning how to interact and how to communicate online, however they don't know how to communicate physically. So when this happens, it becomes detrimental because sure they can communicate online, but they can't really communicate physically. So that doesn't really mean it's the best of both worlds, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to my questions. So first of all, my first question and issue in the debate: under which side is education more effective? So this has been proven in my leader of opposition speech, where he talked about how where he talked on physical interactions leading to more better effective education. So under our side or under opposition, we've proven to you why physical interactions can lead to better education for the students, because the teachers will be able to realize the reactions of the students. They'd be able to see and comprehend what problems the students have. Notice that government has only been talking about how, all right, we believe that there are students who can do online and can do physical, and if they can't do online, they should go to physical. I believe that not only do they have to realize that this is actually unfair, because both of those conditions are extremely different if you were to learn in an online class versus if you were to learn in a physical class. So hence, I believe that they have yet to realize that what they're talking about, sure, they talk about how it's the best of both worlds, but they have to realize that because their arguments are leading to more detrimental effects that has not come up even in the last speaker. So under effective education, under our side, we have also proven to you that under physical classes, why we think physical classes is better to be supported than online classes, it's because under our side we have we have more discipline under physical classes, under physical school, because yes, we have a routine. For example, you have to wake up early, you have to attend classes at a certain hour, you have to be there physically. So we believe that under our side, we have more discipline, and this would lead to more productivity. Under government side, when they have physical, the prime minister came up and said that they have flexible classes. The students can go to classes at any time. They can have their pre-recorded lectures. We believe that this is more detrimental to their productivity, and this actually backfires their whole goal on making more effective and better education. Because when students have flexible schedules, when students have lectures on the go, they aren't disciplined, and they don't have to follow a certain schedule. They don't have to follow a routine. They can do it whenever they want. For example, they can push all of their lectures to the end of the semester, a week before finals, and they'd still try their best to survive whatever exams they have. So, but we think that this is ineffective, and this would lead to basically ineffective education, which can lead to burnout. So my second question in the debate that we have also solved is, under which side is education more fair for the students? So what government has to realize is that I would like government to realize that regarding finance, it isn't just about buying one, not just buying one device and using it for the rest of your life. For example, they talked about how if you buy a laptop, you can use it for a long time, and that's all you have to pay for. No, it's not. Sorry, I won't take any POI. When they talk about how they will just buy it one time, they use it for a long time, and that's the only cost that they need compared to physical classes. My DLO came up with such an in-depth argument that finances is basically the main issue of online schooling in the first place. Because one, okay, not only considering the fact that you have to buy the gadgets and you have to pay for the internet purchases and such, but there's also multiple things that you have to cater to as well. You have to also cater to the fact that when it comes to devices, we believe that yes, you can buy a device, but does everyone have the same privileges? No, there are people who are more privileged than others, where they can buy better devices, they can have better access to more advanced devices, and this would lead to a huge gap in the education in the education spectrum, because they have better privileges than the others. So we believe that, okay, if government will come up and tell you their reply that under both sides there are more privileges, for example, under physical side they have tuition and such, we believe that yes, privileges are mutually exclusive, but it's more harder on the government side, because they're refusing to acknowledge the fact that finance is a huge factor that leads to the productivity and the betterment of online classes. And secondly, the second part of this question is regarding surrounding environment, which government whip did not talk about, where we believe that under online classes, it's unfair because not everyone has the same surrounding environment. So we believe that under physical classes, it's more fair, and we've proven to you. So basically, in a brief conclusion, opposition has already proven to you why that we believe physical schooling is better, and we have pointed out the flaws of the government where they did not really reaffirm their stance. So I would like to ask government to come up with a good reply in order to save your case. And with that, I've never been proud to oppose.
First speech.
This house would like to thank the op-ed for the speech. I'd like to invite the opposition reply to reply. Okay, here.
Excuse scenario.
Okay, basically macam ni lah. Look at my tak ada macam ni.
Timekeeper, replies are 4 minutes long. Yeah, thanks. And just a reminder, no PYC replies. Yeah, up reply whenever you're ready.
Orang only assuming yang students yang actually orang punya first part tu dah kalah dah, yang productivity ni I think dah kalah dah. I think the only thing yang hanging on right now is affordability je.
That's the only.
Affordability ni you have to understand lah, not everyone is privileged the same.
Excuse me, government.
Huh?
Position dah.
No, government first, right? No position.
Yeah,
No, sorry.
No.
Regarding the meeting, we're quite sorry. It's kind of chaotic here.
Yeah. So if you're not speaking, please remain muted because otherwise we can hear you all. Reply whenever you're ready.
So they assuming that they apa ni?
Dia macam bukan they're not assuming. I think Amira dia dah cakap dah yang they accept yang kita ada masalah, yang diorang punya part ada masalah. Tapi
kita solve the problem.
tapi kita cakap yang dia macam ni lah actually. When it comes to affordability,
Sorry,
obviously
excuse me, Judge.
kan, tapi
Yeah, sorry. I think you're
many
muted, is it?
solutions, many ways for you to
Gaf?
tackle the problem so that we can decrease the issue.
Yeah,
of
hi, Gaf. Team Gaf, Rebuttal Rebels. I think
I think
Gaf, I think we can hear your discussion. So, yeah, if the host can mute them also. I'm not sure where the sound is coming from. Yeah, and then yeah, up quick whenever you're. Sorry, up reply whenever you're ready.
aku dah buka. Siapa punya? It's not mine kan? Tak, I didn't even join pun. Ada keluar dah. Ada leave
Aku
dah.
tak pernah join pun.
I need 2 minutes preparation. Okay, I can give you all 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, and the other team members are muted and saying, "Is it me? It's you."
PT
Not sure why.
yang win this argument. Dia dah provekan yang you can be productive even though online. Just tengok balik apa yang dia itu. And then for affordability ni, we did prove how we can decrease it, how we can decrease the problem. We have problems that can tackle.
Because
Hi, I think Gaf, you guys are still unmuted. We can hear your discussion. So, if possible, just please mute your mics. If you have any issues with muting, whatever, I think you can let the org.com know, or you can try leave and join back. Yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah, your 2 minutes is up. Up reply. Yeah.
So Assalamualaikum and a good morning to everyone. Here as the leader of opposition here, I'm standing here once again to deliver a reply speech. Okay, so from the moment the Prime Minister stood up, there is a very big issue that is common throughout this debate, which is how they say that the Prime Minister's, the government side keeps on saying that they have a choice. They have a choice. We think that this is such an unfair argument to take, because when you say, okay, when we keep on, as the opposition, we keep on trying to show them, to try to engage with them, to show that why online learning is not good. And all they say is, okay, they say physical learning is not good as well. And whenever we say something about how online learning is not good, all they say is, okay, they have a choice, they can choose. And that, to me, to us, that is so unfair, because they say, okay, they have a choice, so what's the problem? So if they say they have a choice, then then that, it's not a debate, it's just basically them not engaging at all. It's just them staying in their own bubble, and just them say, okay, we can choose, But, okay, talking about how they can choose, even if they can choose, okay, I will play on their turf. Even if they can choose, the problem here with choices is that it's not going to be a fair system, because as we know that physical and online is different, okay? So then when physical and online is different, what will happen is that the physical and online, what they learn and how they learn, don't you think it's a bit unfair? Because they say, even as we both said, there are differences, and we don't think that being able to choose is a good thing. We should just standardize one thing only, okay? So then secondly is how they say that affordability is the only thing we have. Productivity is not good under our side, and they keep on saying that we are delusional. We assume that kids are always the students are always distracted, and maybe some can strive. But okay, so what we're doing here is we are trying to look at the negative side, and they keep on saying that we only look at negative. We don't look at the positive side. We don't look at the benefits. We don't look at people who can do it. This is because we want to maintain a fair education system in this case. And if it is unfair for some people, maybe some people can strive, some people cannot. So we think that it is not a good thing to do, because the people who strive get better, but the people who are underprivileged, like my second speaker has said, they have problems, they cannot study and all. So we think that okay, so that is for why we win under the topic of okay. So next, moving on to productivity, we still win under productivity, because there is a higher chance, okay, that students are not disciplined. And they keep on talking about how students can be disciplined, they can teach themselves to be disciplined. And we think that this is not correct, because in an online class, okay, people tend to close the cameras, and you can do whatever you want. People do not see what you are doing, okay? So when people do not see what they are doing, what happens is that there is less discipline altogether. And they keep on saying that, okay, we have to prep these students for the future, for online meetings. The future is online meetings and whatnot. The problem is, even though there are going to be online meetings in the future, that is not the main thing. That is not like, it is not all online meetings, because at some point we have to go and to the physical world. We have to go physical. We have to meet our clients and all. And when that happens, if they don't have the skills to do it normally, they only know how to do online. How will they fare in the future? And with that, I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, this house would like to thank the op reply for the speech. I'd like to invite the gov reply to end the debate. Here. Hi, op reply. Sorry, gov reply. Are you all okay? Gov reply. Are you all there? Gov? Rebuttal rebels?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Good morning to the members of the floor. It's me again. Lost in the first and foremost, actually we are not really being fair. We as the fair government, we can see the reality world, we can see to the fact that the students if have these problems which we could not cope with this online classes, and we can see to the fact of what is the students problem about productivity, also the itself. Nevertheless, we managed to eventually give their problem. Achieve we actually prove that this online classes can be on par with the physical classes itself from this academic in terms by speaking like as my first speaker have been mentioned before, and in terms of social before. So because of that, we actually made on the opposition side, and it's better we actually provide a solution trying to poke the holes on us. For example, for the affordability, we yes, because that some students are not being afford prove that we have for the students itself to mix online classes possible. And that's why the reason why we make it as a choice for the student itself to go for online classes or the physical classes. Let me repeat that. We actually caters the best side of the students and the worst case of the students. For the worst case of students, for example, their productivity, well, we actually managed to see that our productivity said we actually managed to cater the problem by giving the solutions to their productiveness, and also the best case scenario for the students that they can excel in learning online classes and also the physical classes. So we actually caters on both sides, on the government side, while on the opposition side they failed to cater on both worlds itself. Number one, on both sides. Number one, and also we on our side, we actually prove that we have this mutually exclusive, which is we given a choice for the students itself to choose whether they want to join the online schooling or even the face-to-face schooling. According to their preference, according to their suitable needs at their moment of time. So basically, we as the government side, we actually concede to this reality, and we prove that why under our side should win this debate, because we clashes moves on what the opposition team has sided, and even the opposition wants to challenge our definition. They should have challenged it is in the first place of the debate, but they failed to do it. So this making the government still standing until today. That's number one. And other than that, and because of that, to conclude, we on the government side, we cater the worst case scenario of students, we cater the best case scenario of the student. We eventually provide the solution on provide the solution who have the problems on joining the online class itself. And also, we don't actually deny, and we don't actually cancelling out the facts of what the opposition have stated, but we eventually clashes with it by giving the solutions that I believe that the students can actually opt for it as well. Well, under their side, opposition itself, they failed to achieve their burden of proof itself. While we on our side, we managed to prove our burden of proof of online classes, and also the um, online classes which is on par with the physical class itself. While on their side, they failed to prove that how come these online classes are being really harmful towards the students. Even if they manage to prove it, when we manage to prove it, we can cater this out. We cater this problem as the government side. With that, I've never been prouder to propose. Thank you.
Okay, this has to thank everyone for the debate. Just give me 2 minutes, then I will give you all the who won and some feedback.